seems to me what makes a great chef, the ones that I respect the most, are when all of the vectors, when you sit down to meal, aren't pointing at the chef. They're pointing somewhere else. Now, that might be in the realm of sustainability, but also might be in the realm of history or some type of culture. You know, Mario Batali is very good at that, and I mean, he's one of the greats at that. All the chefs who, you know, who don't scream me on the plate, you know, I think that says to me there's something going on that's larger than just food, which makes the food taste better. It's not just focused on the ego and on the manipulation of the ingredients, but of something larger. It's about something. I think those are the chefs that end up making a real mark. And then, you know, there's a second part to this too, which is like the editing of a dish, you know, which is to me like the most critical. You know, they're those chefs that like, those chefs who put way too much ingredients, and we all have had that. And then there are other chefs on the other end who are minimalists for the sake of being minimal, and it's very sort of effete and kind of off-putting, precious, right? But to strike that balance in between, it's like any art. In that sense, I really hate relating cooking to art because I think that's pretentious too. But this is the one place where I would give up to and make the analogy to art, whether it's writing or painting. You know, there are very few like real artists and real people at the top of their profession who can take out from what they're creating to get to the essence, and they don't have, you know, a steel, you know, in the great chef's restaurant, there is no great dish, the one dish you have to have. There is, you know, it's much, the experience is much bigger than that. It reminds me of this Nabokov thing that someone once told me, that Nabokov, when he was writing Three Sisters, there was this great scene where one of the guys says to the other guy, you know, tell me about your wife. And the guy stands up and he does this big speech. My wife, let me tell you about my wife. My wife in the morning is da-da-da-da. My wife, you know, by noontime is da-da-da. And by the afternoon, my wife starts talking about da-da-da. He goes on and on. Everyone in the rehearsal for this thing is just, you know, eating their firstborn. They love this speech so much. At the end of the week, right before they're about to do the performance, someone says to Nabokov, you know, that scene might go down in history as one of the greatest scenes in the history of playwriting. That night, Nabokov sends a telegram to the director and says, I want you to rewrite the scene where the guy asks, how is his wife? When he asks, how's his wife, he should answer, a wife? A wife is a wife, period. So he takes out this incredible scene, and to me, it was like, I remember hearing that story, I was like, that is true art, because what Nabokov, you know, what he was saying. Nabokov, I got it wrong. It was Chekhov. Jesus, Three Sisters. So anyway, Chekhov, when he was saying that, he was really, you know, he was saying that the play is bigger than that scene, and if people walk away from that play just thinking about that scene, or that scene steals the show, it isn't great art. And that's the same when you sit down to dinner. If there's one or two things in your meal that stand out, you've lost the greatness of the experience. So that sounds a little highfalutin, but I feel like, you know, it's generally true.